Yeah, well, isn't that the story of the Northern Cape? Friendly, welcoming, great province, and I always love coming here, and the leadership here always make us feel welcome. And I think the people in the Northern Cape often feel like they're the forgotten province, so people are always grateful to see people here. So I always love coming here, and it's one of the reasons I'm back again the second week in a row.
I would like to know who chooses the playlist.
Okay, well, we've got a great guy called DJ One Eye, Anthony Hufke, and he does all the music there. He likes playing John Hooley Gate.
And what do you think about Kimberley when you drive in here, and especially when you come from the airport, you see rubbish, and everyone in Kimberley feels the same. They feel like it's dirty, it's full of potholes. What is your feeling when you come into Kimberley?
I feel sad when I come into Kimberley, and it's a genuine sadness because this town has got the most amazing potential. It's got such a diverse environment, it's got tourism, it's got history, it's got great people, and it's the only thing it doesn't have is a government that's bringing all this together and ensuring that they can play off of those strengths. Quite the opposite, and they're letting all the infrastructure fall by the wayside. They're leaving the potholes to grow, and there should only be one big hole in Kimberley, but there's big holes in every road here.
Yes.
It's crazy. So I feel sad because I really think this could be the diamond town of South Africa. It's got everything going for it, but it just needs a government that's on its side.
If the DI wins Kimberley, would it not spill over into all of the smaller towns, because it's sort of like a flagship that you can grow on? Is that what you have in mind for Kimberley, or what?
Yes, absolutely.
We're just going over a bottle as we speak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what you want to do is in every province create a beachhead. So like we used Modimolle, Mokopong and Limpopo, we used Midvaal in Gauteng, we used the city of Cape Town in the Western Cape. It becomes a model of good governance that you then show to the rest of the province. Look what we've been able to do there. And we want to be able to do that in a spillover. So if one remembers the city of Cape Town, we only got in there with an 8-party coalition originally. 5 years later, we were given our own majority, and 5 years after that, even bigger majority. So when people see the difference, it has a knock-on effect. And we now have a record of action that we can put before people and say, we govern in small towns, we govern in metros, and look at what we've done there. Top 5 municipalities, all DA run.
I had a reader ask a question, and she said, why doesn't the DA just start filling up the potholes? Why do they wait for the ANC? Do people, you must get that a lot, where people say, why don't you just do something instead of waiting? But people don't always understand the process.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, we often do help where we can. I mean, we've got teams that do grass cutting, and we do help with filling potholes occasionally. But the scale here is just too big. We've got huge amounts of budget that's going to be needed to fill the potholes, to fix the broken water pipes and electricity. So the DA filling 1 or 2 potholes isn't going to make the difference. You need to get the DA in government here so that we can use the municipal budget to be able to improve service delivery and ensure that we focus like a laser beam on getting the potholes filled, fixing those pipes to 60% of the water here gets lost. So 60%, 60 cents in every rand this municipality spends on water just disappears. You've got to fix those basic infrastructures, otherwise you're never going to get anything right here.
We've also had some readers saying, especially touching on the water subject, saying, they will phone the municipality and a water leak will be outside of their house for weeks on end without being attended to. In practice, how should it be done, and how soon, if the DA would govern Solplaatje, would they be able to show this is actually what a difference we can make?
Sure. So what you've got to have is a service management protocol, which is what we have in the city of Cape Town and others. You don't even have to phone the municipality in Cape Town. You can log a complaint on WhatsApp, SMS, or an online platform, point out where the problem is, and it gets repaired. So you've got to have an ability to be able to track those complaints. So once a complaint comes in, you must be issued with a reference number, which allows you to then follow up if it's not done within 48 hours. And that's how we keep such a good protocol in the city of Cape Town and Midvaal and other places. We're responsive. But without that system, you've got somebody just sitting there answering the phone. They'll scribble something down on a piece of paper, put the phone down, go to lunch, the paper's gone, and the resident's query's gone. You've got to have a logging system. It's got to be done methodically to ensure that you can address those problems. Otherwise, it's just going to be left up to someone else's goodwill, and that can't be right. And what you should have then as well is in that system, there's a red flag immediately to a supervisor when that complaint is not responded to. That's the only way you hold municipal officials accountable and improve the turnaround time in a municipality.
If you go to bed at night, number one, how many hours awake and worrying about what are we going to do here, or someone saying something to you or threatening you, and how do you keep to your guns and stick to your guns?
Yeah. Well, I'm not afraid of threats. I'm a politician for most of my life, so it goes with the territory. Just keep your head down and focus on what does keep me awake at night is the future of the country. And I don't know if we can go on for another 5 years with terrible service delivery municipalities. I don't know what's going to be left in Salt Lake if they have another 5 years of anti-government. And my biggest concern is actually for the poor, because they've got no choice. As wealthier South Africans, you can, when the electricity doesn't work, you get a generator, you can sink a borehole for water,
Yes.
you can send your children to a private school, you can get DSTV so you don't have to watch what's on the SABC and other channels. Poor people have got no choice. They have to use those municipal clinics. They have to use the municipal services. And what life are we condemning those people to, where they've got to sit for days without water and electricity, a basic human right and the most basic thing any municipality should do? What about the children in those households who can't bath, who can't drink, who can't study in the evenings because there's no electricity? It's those people's concerns that keep me awake at night. And we've got 30 million of them in South Africa who live in poverty, under the poverty line. And we've got to do something about it, because if we don't, I can tell you what's going to happen. There's going to be a turn towards radicalism in South Africa, and then everything is going to go up in flames. We've got to address those people's concerns and needs now before it's too late.
Also the Northern Cape specifically, because it's such a vast province and we've got so many small towns, the unemployment rate here is quite high. How would you suggest that the unemployment rate is handled?
But unemployment is linked to services. So you saw what happens in towns where water and electricity and sanitation doesn't work, the roads are terrible. Businesses leave town and they go to places that are well run, which is why there's a net migration of businesses to DA-run municipalities. They're getting away from poor service delivery. What happened in Lichtenburg in the northwest, the Clover factory there closed down, took 300 jobs because they couldn't bear the poor services anymore. So economic development cannot be built on poor services. So when you focus on getting the services right, and then a determined strategy to bring investment here, build factories here, attract investment, tourism. This place should be a tourism mecca. It's got this incredible history. But I mean, just look around us. Who wants to come and sit with these plastic bags and broken bottles and pothole streets? What tourists are going to want to come?
Yes.
They want to come and have an experience. They don't want to come and have a disaster. And so if we focus on those basics, I think you then provide the building blocks for economic development. And when the economic development comes, the jobs come with it. That's what we did in Midval. When we took it over, it was also pretty much a town in deep trouble. What do we do? Basic services, good clean government. It attracted the Heineken factory, employing people in Midval. Ferrero Rocher, employing people in Midval. Steelworks, employing people in Midval. I think that if you've got a government that's determined to get the basics right and has an economic development strategy that is built on getting those things right and attracting business here, you're going to be able to improve job creation here massively. And it's why unemployment is lowest in DA-run municipalities. Our unemployment rate in the Western Cape is a full 19 points below the national average.
Oh, wow.
Because we understand that partnering with business and creating a conducive environment for economic development attracts business. Good governance attracts business. The opposite pushes business away.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people going outside of Kimberley, moving to Cape Town specifically. They say that Cape Town has been overrun by people that want to move there, which we can understand because you can actually drive on a road. How closely should, you touched on it just now about businesses, but how closely should a government work with businesses, and should they listen to what the business owner has to say, even if it's a small business owner? Because you can change a whole street if you
motivation are you giving them to help? So you've got to have that partnership. And then you start from the perspective governments don't create jobs. It's impossible for a municipality to create jobs. Its job is to create the environment for small, medium, micro and large business to create the jobs that come there. The municipality can't employ every unemployed person. You need those businesses to be partnering with you to be able to, and being a partner means that you're willing to listen and you're willing to assist them with what their needs are. Someone comes to you and says, I want to grow my business, but I can't because the road's on such a state, or I can't do
like
it without
this.
yeah, there we go.
What
It's
is
a good
outside?
example. Yeah. It's it's exactly it.
You don't know what it is. It's a big hole.
Big trench.
Yes, with rubbish in it.
And it's probably full of sewage as well. Got the coffee shop owner coming and saying, my coffee shop should be full, but my customers don't want to park here. Their cars are being broken into. I can't run a coffee shop and I don't have water for 8 hours in a day. Government's got to listen and be responsible. If they don't, those businesses will pack up and go elsewhere. It's not a South African phenomenon, it's an international phenomenon. Businesses will go where it is easier to do business rather than harder.
And then I would like to know with independent parties and smaller parties and a vote that is split, how important is it for South Africans who want a different future to stand together? Because what makes a person change his or her mind at the voting station the day of voting? If you are a staunch party supporter and you as John want them to vote DA, what would change their mind?
So I would tell people to think strategically, and I don't want to rubbish small parties or say nasty things about their leaders. That's not what my job is, to focus on getting the ANC below 50%. But I would tell voters to think very carefully and to think strategically. So let's use an example. Let's say there's a ward here in Kimberley where the DA's got 51% of the vote, and the ANC or the EFF is the next biggest in the vote. You then get a small party coming in, they take 4 or 5%. Now that 4 or 5% is not going to win the ward, but it weakens the DA enough for the ANC or EFF to win. Then you're sitting with one extra ANC or EFF seat on the council and one less opposition seat. So people in towns like this, where things have got so bad, they've got to unite behind the one party that has the best chance of unseating the ANC. And in Silplaiki, whether you like it or not, it is the DA. It's the only party that can form a majority to be able to get rid of it. And people need to unite behind that party to be able to ensure it's got the strongest hand. Dividing the opposition is no opposition at all, and all you'll be doing is getting the ANC or the EFF in through the back door, and then you'll sit for another 5 years with the town in this terrible condition. But see here again, now look, no rubbish collection, dirty. Kimberley flour as a plastic bag, and just say, what the hell's going on here? But the thing is that it'll shock you in Cape Town to see something like that. It stands out like a sore thumb. Here, I think it's just the norm. I think you stop and take pictures when you don't see rubbish and litter and potholes and sewage. I think that's
Actually, there's quite a few very nice gardens here where people do a lot.
And see, they've taken pride. Yeah, they've taken pride in their community. And that's the thing. The municipality should be harnessing these people to assist them and being on their side instead of working against them.
What would you say? Do you think, say for instance, the DA would take over the Silplaiki municipality? Would it be met with a lot of resistance?
I don't think so. And certainly when we took over in Cape Town and Koga and Midvaal, there was no major resistance. And once you start delivering, people sit up and say, actually, well, this is actually not what we expected, and we're actually happy about it. And then they start to solidify behind your cause and your message. So I think that it's overstated that there's going to be violence. I think majority of people in this town or this area, you would ask them, what would you rather have, another 5 years of this, or would you like a decent government that's going to fix the potholes, fix the sewage, fix the electricity? I think they'd jump at the opportunity to say, well, let's give another party a chance. Because if you don't change the way you vote, you're never going to change the way you live, and that is the reality. You'll live like this for the rest of your life. You can change your vote and vote for a party that's got a track record of getting things done.
Do you think people get used to living like this?
I don't think anyone gets used to living like this. I don't think that. I think we underestimate the average voter. I think that they understand that this is not as it should be. And when they talk to people from other towns or other cities, they understand that this is not normal. That it's not normal to go days without electricity and water. It's not normal to have a municipality that can't keep the lights on. It's not normal to have mothers and grandmothers attacked when they go about their daily shopping. It's not normal, and I think that they understand that. And and hopefully they're going to understand in this election that this election is about getting things done. I mean, look there, that's rubbish that hasn't been collected. Days.
So
and
that's
days.
at a school.
Yeah.
Now this is Redupon School.
Yeah.
There's the flats. And how strongly do you feel about crime and eradicating crime?
Well, the eradication of crime starts with the urban design, and that's where municipalities have got a big role to play. Where you put the street lights in, where you put the urban parks in, so people have got places to recreate, and that you ensure they're well-lit communities, and that you have a policing presence. It helps to deal with crime. So even when people come through an area and they see it's neglected and there's broken windows, they think, oh, well, no one cares about this area, so no one's going to mind if I break into this car or break into this house. Where you've got a clean, neat community, people will say, well, actually, this is not an area I want to come in. Obviously, people are active and aware here, and it's a major disincentive for crime.
I just want to ask you one last thing, because we are almost at the rally. I want to know, we all have children that need to grow up in South Africa, and we see children here next to the street walking. What is the one thing that you want children to grow up with?
With opportunity. Every child in South Africa to have the same opportunity, whether you're from rural Northern Cape or whether you are from Sandton. You must have the same opportunity: quality education, a decent home, and a safe community where services are delivered. If we can get all of that right, then we can make sure that we can address all the rest.
Thanks, John. It was nice
so
talking
much.
to
Yeah,
you.
really great to meet you, and great to meet you as well. Thanks for the opportunity, and thanks very much to you guys for the work you do and keeping the community aware of what's going on.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you so much.